Okay, have a look at this. Film stills, film moments from the 20th century. Lovely stills, okay? All bar one in black and white, of course. Now, from the point of view of language, what structure do you think each one of those frames represents? It's one structure for all four of them. Would you like to kind of talk with a colleague and see what you think? What structure do you think these photos, or concept, do they represent? Okay, any suggestions? Sorry? What's going to happen? Okay, going to future. Yeah. Right. Who thinks that's kind of what those pictures represent? Lots of you could use them for lots of different structures, but I think the one that hits you is in fact the going to structure. Okay. Number one. What's happening? Dracula's going to bite her neck, right? Okay. And number two, top right.
He's about to kill him.
Okay, he's about to. There's a different one. I'm going to restrict you to going to. He's going to kill him. Okay, so Brutus is going to kill Caesar.
For all of them.
Yep, going to works for all of them. Okay, this one down here. What's happening? Or what's going to happen? Okay, yes. I don't know which one's which. Which one's Laurel?
The one who's doing the soaring is Laurel.
Okay, so Hardy's going to fall right out the window. And finally, number four. Be careful. Remember, it was 1939. Any suggestions? He's going to kiss her. It's not she's going to kiss him. No, in 1939, he's going to kiss her. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. So film stills there that you can use to very economically represent a language concept. Quite clear as you go through them what the concept is. Okay. Can you move on to the next one, Mark? I'll come back to that in a minute.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I could use it for higher level students for speculation.
Oh yes.
Models, and then they might include.
Go on. Give an example.
Yeah. So like we want to. There is the degrees of certainty. So what he may, he might, he could, he must.
Right. They look pretty certain, all of them, to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
He might bite her neck. Yeah, could be.
Let's see, he will.
Will going to, I don't know. Okay.
If you know the story, you know. The end of the story.
Okay. Right. Okay, and then, as we mentioned before, picture differences can also be useful for working on language. Take a look at these two. A. Oh no, pass it please.
Sorry.
A and B. Okay. What differences can you see?
Picture A, she's got curly hair.
She's in here. Picture A. She's broken her arm. Picture B. She hasn't. Okay. She's got a different hairstyle. Sorry.
Skin color.
Oh yes. Okay. She's changed the colour of her skin somehow. Okay. The weather's different, and so on. Okay. Now, picture differences can be used in different ways in the classroom. You could give your students both of those pictures and say, okay, time limit, how many differences can you find? And if you do that, chances are you're not necessarily going to maximise kind of language production. They'll be pointing at things and, so not particularly efficient if used like that. However, if you have a look at your handout, on the second page, you've got this. Okay, what I'd like you to do now is fold it in half and work with a colleague. One of you look at picture the first one and the other look at the second one. Okay, I'd like you to make some statements describing your picture. Take turns and see if you can find 11 differences. 11. I'll give you 2 minutes. Okay, stop. Now have a look at both of the pictures. Yeah, now you can look at both of the pictures. Here they are. Okay, so you got the idea. Now, that's a standard activity. What you can do is add a context to this. If you have a look at the top picture, you'll see that this depicts her life 6 months ago, and she's sitting writing a letter. The second one is now. She's also writing a letter. Okay, now 6 months ago was the last time that she wrote a letter to a pen friend. Predating email and text, of course. But anyway, she wrote a letter to a pen friend 6 months ago, talking about what was happening in her life and so on. And now she's doing the same thing again. What kind of things could she write in a letter? What kind of things could she say about how her life's different? Sorry?
I'm talking about the exam's result there.
Yeah.
She failed.
She's failed her exam. Okay.
So she could write in the letter, I failed my exam.
Yeah, I failed my exams and bad news.
She's broken her guitar.
She's broken her guitar. Yes.
Probably she broken her arm playing the guitar.
Okay, she broke her arm while she was playing the guitar, and also broke the guitar.
The plant has grown.
Her fish died. Okay, how did it die? Okay, here we've got. Excuse me, bro. Okay, here we've got her big fish swimming with this poor little thing in the tank, and here the big fish looks to me like it's got a smile on his face, and
The tongue.
okay, and the tongue. Yeah, so the big fish has eaten the little fish, and so on. Okay, so now we've got lots and lots of content for our students to write the letter that the girl would write to her pen friend. Some of the news is good, some of it is bad. Okay, you could get them to separate out aspects, good news and bad news, all right, and write. So that demonstrates another way in which pictures can be used to deal with language. Now, the one we looked at before, the film stills for going to, and these two here, have two qualities in common. They are economical and memorable. Was memorable? Yes, economical and memorable. Okay. Would you like to discuss with a colleague what you think, in what way you think those two sets of pictures were economical and memorable for your students or in the classroom? Okay, economical. Both sets of pictures. I mean, as a teacher, you don't have to spend an awful lot of time presenting the linguistic concept. Okay, yeah. Trying to find ways of explaining the circumstances under which we use going to. No, we use going to talk about something that's going to happen in the near future. Or is it often kind of circular definitions? You spend ages trying to find ways of explaining this. And here, of course, the concept of the present perfect. Okay, so very economical in that sense. So efficient and economical, and memorable. Okay, there are three ways that our memories work, or we learn. We might have our visual memory might be strong. Okay, we might learn by doing, kind of kinesthetics, or we might have an auditory memory by listening. Okay, even though they are the three major ways in which memory works, we probably have bits of each. For everybody, the visual memory plays a very, very strong part. So once you present a structure through the visual, okay, in the future, your students might be able to retrieve or recall that structure very, very quickly by accessing their memory of the visual, rather than the long-worded, lengthy explanations and grammatical rules. So, efficient and memorable. Okay?
So those last two activities were concerned with grammar. This one's concerned with skills, writing in particular, but speaking possibly. Anyway, first task is this. You have to decide what happens in the mystery square. I'll break it into two halves so you can see it from the back. Give you a minute to look at that one, and then we'll look at the other half. So, part 4, the mystery frame.
When he got the sleeping pills and gave to the BRAZ, and then gave his wife, and then he called police.
Okay, so he took the sleeping pills, unlocked the door, went out. Whilst they were watching the television, which was on way too loud, they couldn't hear a thing with the television on so loud. Went behind the sofa and popped sleeping pills in their cans of drink. and consequently they fell happily asleep, like a baby. Now, this kind of thing is perfect for writing activities. Obviously, you can use it to give the students get lots and lots of input, so they don't have to sit around going, oh, I can't think of anything to write. Instant input. In this particular example, it's also divided into paragraphs according to the narrative structure, the situation, the problem, the solution, and the ending. A 4-part narrative structure. So you can use that for writing. First of all, making notes for each of the 4 parts, and then making them into the text. Or you could do an oral version where they tell their stories. Okay?
Right. Beautiful, beautiful painting. Okay, that's Manina's. Thousands of people, hundreds and thousands of people flock every year to Madrid to see this. Okay? Intrigue, interest, everything. Okay, now, how could you use that, similar paintings, with a focus on language? Now here, obviously, we've got kind of numbers you can see above all of the characters. Now imagine, you have in front of you 11 pieces of paper, each one with a number on. Okay? And I read you a description of some of the people in the painting. When I pause, you hold up the number to show me who you think the person is that I'm describing. So, here we go. You can't do this because you don't have the pieces of paper in front of you, but in the classroom, okay, this is one way you could exploit this. When you look at the picture, the first thing you see is 5-year-old Princess Margarita. She's standing in the middle of a group of girls and she's looking directly at you. Number 8. Thank you. Right, the 2 girls either side of the princess are her maids of honour, Maria and Isabel. Maria is kneeling and offering Margarita a drink.
7.
Yes. Isabel is standing to the right of Margarita and she's looking in our direction.
9.
Okay. Now you see how I would know as a teacher immediately, if you had this piece of paper and you held it up with a number on, whether or not each individual student had understood what I said and which ones didn't. Okay. And where I might need to do a little bit more work on prepositions or not, and which ones. Okay, so play around with these and get instant feedback as a teacher in the classroom at who understands what. Okay?
So this is, we used it this way to work on listening skills, but you could equally have that same text printed, and it's on the PowerPoint on the website if you want to use the text itself. They could read the text and then in the text with brackets where they put in the number. So that's another way of doing it. And the fact is, it's a form of comprehension without comprehension questions. It's so it's not as a comprehension question is something you have to read, but here you can simply see immediately the comprehension question, as it were. So economical in that way.